Welcome back to the Next Level Show. We're excited to have you guys. If you're new, welcome. If you've been listening to us for a while, welcome back. We appreciate always the constant support. Mr. Gabriel,
What's happening?
you didn't let me know it's Tank Top Friday.
I sent you the text
Fuck, I probably didn't open it.
as per the usual.
Well, this is a Mindset Monday episode for our listeners that don't know. Just a quick intro, just so before I forget these points, because we're going to get into it. Intro, we do have a YouTube channel. If you're not aware, go ahead and search us up, The Next Level Show. It'll pop up on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe. If you're listening to this through audio, just do us the favor and support us there. Also, for people that don't know, we do have timestamps on every episode. There's only probably like maybe a handful that didn't get to them, but basically you can go down, you can see exactly what we're going to cover at what point, and you can kind of fast forward if you ever so desire. That's fine. We appreciate it. I know if the people that are listening that are new, we have a lot of episodes to catch up on, so that can be a way for you. You can fast forward, get more episodes done, because why not? Why wouldn't you want to have a full-blown binge session of the Next Level Show? I mean,
I can't think of a better way to spend my time.
Absolutely, especially as it's a favorite pastime.
Exactly. Just put it on, do some whatever, take care of some stuff around the house while you're drinking your protein shake, while you're training. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't advise so much about while you're training, depending on what you're doing. Because sometimes if I'm like squatting, overhead press, or just deadlifting, I might get to a point where I laugh and it might break my concentration. So it's happened to me before. Not a good time. So
I do recommend you listen with caution, depending on what you're doing. Don't be operating any heavy machinery. It could be a risk of you laughing and then chopping your leg off or something gruesome like that.
I think I posted a meme about that, about don't take while operating heavy machinery. And I always think of like forklifts and shit like that. It means cars.
Really?
Yes. I don't know why they wouldn't say cars, or just don't, but whatever. They just put heavy machinery.
I guess you technically have to cover all your bases, because if you don't say that, then you have a Karen that's going to come.
Is all good.
Yeah, and then Karen's going to come and just ask to speak to the manager.
Yeah, she'll do that.
It's all over. Before I do that, Gabe, cover me really quickly. What's been going on with you, training wise? What's new?
Okay. I'm getting right back into the whole training wise. I've been kind of off the wagon for a bit. I want to say last week I only trained like maybe 2 to 3 times. I have been just really pressed for time. We've been busy, with the business. I have a lot of workshops going on, a lot of things to kind of prepare for, get the store ready. So I've been kind of like slacking on that part. But I'm back into it. This is now my 3rd day in a row of training, so pretty good. I want to keep that momentum up and continue it for next week. My plan is to start anabolic next week, starting with the pre-phase and then going through it. I don't think I ran it to the T before, so this will be the first time.
I was just curious because I actually haven't asked you what you've been up to. I know that a couple episodes for people that don't know, and they've been listening. They know that you're not there. So we've been so busy. Everyone that I had to ask Mike on the other episode what he's been up to. For people that don't know, we don't really talk 24/7 unless there's stuff that we have ideas for interviews or content ideas. We obviously all run very busy, distinct lives. So it's just kind of like cool to kind of get that organic reaction from me. If you're doing something crazy, I'll be like, holy shit. And then just all of us, when the whole thing with Mike, it just reminds me when he let us know on air. Yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm expecting I'm like, what? It's like, everyone's just like, what the fuck, dude?
Say that in my good ear.
Yeah, like say that a little. Let me bump the audio. What'd you say? Clear that up a little bit. So it's getting some static on this end. But yeah, no. Anyways, I have a funny story. It's not really long. It's not really that crazy either, but it's just I haven't done this in a while, so I just found it interesting. And I'm always curious to who I'm going to run into, right? And I went to go buy some protein powder because I ran out. I went to GNC. I was going to order some. Usually for people that know, I ordered from Legion. I love their products, their pre-workout, their protein powder, and their creatine is phenomenal. I think it's really good quality. it's a little bit not super expensive, but it's definitely not on the cheaper side. So you're paying a fair amount for a decent product, you know. So it is, you're getting your money's worth. But I ran out, and I'm like, dude, I moved, and to be honest, I still haven't figured out the mailbox situation here because it's not,
No.
you know, this is, I have to go somewhere to where all the mailboxes are and get my stuff, which I still don't know where they're at. It's been like 3 weeks, and I just don't know. It's probably like full of crap. And so no, I went to GNC yesterday on my way home, and I just bought. I went to go see what they have. I forget that GNC has their own line, and they always, you know, try to make you buy their amp. I think it's called amp. That's the GNC. I think that's their. I think that's their brand. That's what they have all their different the ISO, normal way, bulking, like the mass gainer types and all that shit. And they're usually pretty expensive, dude. I remember even back in the day when I was like a supplement junkie, dude, GNC was just ridiculously expensive for everything, dude. So you would go to more of those local vitamin shops or supplement shops, I'm sorry, and you would get better deals on like protein powder and all that. But I've gone back. It was just convenient because I knew they had this particular company in mind. So I went, and they had Optimum Nutrition Gold Standard. That was the last line of protein that I was buying before I went to Legion. And I've been using them for years prior. And I did take other ones from the other, they're made. That's why, in a way, I do like GNC because they have pretty like familiar companies. Some of those local ones have like just their line of protein powder, which isn't bad, and they're priced pretty fair, but you can't go wrong with some Gold Standard Whey. I did hear negative stuff about them a couple years ago that they were spiking their protein powder. So I don't know if it's 100% true right now. If they fixed the problem, still tastes the same. So it is what it is. That's why I'd rather spend the extra money. If I'm going to pay X amount for this supplement, I'd rather use Legion because I know that they're actually going to have the adequate dosage of, you know, of each thing that they're saying. They're gonna blend it out perfectly. They're gonna distribute everything. But yeah, I bought some Gold Standard Whey.
So let me ask you this question. So with the whole thing of you mentioned of like, you know, all these, there was reports of all these other companies allegedly spiking or not being true to their
serving sizes.
Or that's why people say, you know, whenever you see proprietary blends, it's always like, well, it's their own mix, and who knows what the hell is that mix? Yes. You know, how do we just never know, right? I mean, we think, we assume, we just don't. And even with Legion, like, what is the deal with them? Like, how do we know that that's? I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just saying, how do
they have a?
Do we just take their word?
So, based on our friends at Mind Pump, and they're sponsored by this company, and they are very picky on who they align themselves with. That's why it took them forever to even be associated with a supplement company, right? So I trust like their knowledge on like reading all the fine print and all the stuff that they go through. And who's behind Legion is Mike Matthews. He's the author of a Bigger, Leaner, Stronger. So shout out to him. Great. He has also the Thinner, Leaner, Stronger for the women. So he has all these like, you know, books. He has a good product line of supplements. So the guy takes and reason why he's more expensive because he's trying to source the best, you know, dairy for the whey and all that. He also gets it certified and stamped by another company, another party that they verify that his stuff is what it says it is. He could probably get away with charging more, but you know, he still charges a pretty fair price for his product. So shout out to them. I mean, they do good. The thing with Optimum Nutrition, I always thought they were pretty legit. And I think they just started kind of spiking the amino content a couple of years ago. I think that's what it was. Because what happened is that when they figured all that out with a bunch of companies, they did a test and they basically like were able to kind of verify that sure, it's just the amino profiles were off. They were fluffed. A lot of additives that were just for volume, but they weren't the actual amount. They were off by a decent amount, significant amount that it caused red flags on all these companies. And basically, I don't know if any of them fixed it or they even gave a shit. But I'm not in the supplement world anymore. I used to be very like on top of like all these companies. I used to be a supplement junkie. I always say like if I would have like either saved or invested that money, I would have a lot of money. Let's just say that. I'd be pretty chilling right now.
No,
But
because
no,
I'm mainly like an optimist. Like I'll take your
I
word
know.
for it, or I'll take someone else's word for it. But I guess the pessimist in me is always like, well, I mean, do we really know? Because we don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that they are. I'm not saying that they're not. I
Mhm.
hear great things about them. I haven't tried them, not for any reason other than like I typically get my stuff from Costco, and I have like two big ass bags right there. So
Mhm.
I would
What
just
do you
ask them.
get? What do you get from Costco?
Either the Optimum Nutrition, I want to say it's that one, or Muscle Farm. To be honest with
Okay.
you, whichever one's on sale is the one that I get.
Yeah.
It's all the same to me.
I personally like Optimum Nutrition. I always did.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought it was
No,
the
they're good.
best tasting one, like in my opinion, easiest to blend and all that. So they are not up. And the way I tell people is that for the most part, I was even reading this even more recent. And I was even talking to one of my buddies at the gym that he was saying that like a lot of these companies like they source their stuff from a major manufacturer.
Yeah,
There
sounds
are
about right.
very few it's not like a lot of these companies have their own private source. They're all buying in bulk from these other companies, and the supplement industry is very interesting because it's a in a way, if you can get the lowest, I guess, quality or the best price for your product, and you can bump the prices, you can make a fortune doing it. Like I mean, and for the most part, you can get away with proprietary blends and putting labels like that on your packages. And that's why I tell people, when you come at me and offer me an opportunity, and on people that are not watching, I'm putting air quotes on selling this fucking powder and vitamin shit. I'm just like, dude, I am. It's you're not that much more special. I'm sorry, than the company that's selling it in a normal store. For the
Mm-hmm.
most part, you may have one or two differences. Distinct. You may have added aloe into your fucking product, and that's apparently revolutionary. It's stupid. No, it's not. Should have
Yeah.
had the sound effect queued up and just dropped it right here. But it's really not that special. So, and that's why I also say don't harp on all these different variety of supplements that don't have much value. We talked about this in the past, and but I do, for the most part. I was just making a story before hopping on. I'm like, I'm running behind on my day. Like I didn't
Yep.
eat. I got caught up. I had to go run some errands after work before hopping on here. So I double scooped. I bumped my protein. That's like 48 grams of protein plus like the bananas and like almond milk and like other stuff that I'll add. So it'll easily be a 50 plus protein shake, and it's an easy way to keep myself like from falling behind. So I say for most people, you're completely safe. You can totally have it. Or if you want more of a plant-based one, same. You're just using it as a support if you are falling behind, or if
Yep.
you have, or a bigger person, like a bigger dude that's like you need a higher amount of protein. And I know it's hard to plan all those meals. There's nothing wrong with having that as an aid. So that's kind of my thing. But to finish my quick story, I was GNC. I got the
Yes.
supplement, I got the protein. I was looking at the store, seeing what else they have, and they're really small. And they didn't have anything like crazy. Before, I felt like other supplement stores had like the funky shit, like the weird, like, dude, what does this do? Is this the new size? It's gonna pack on a bunch of muscle, right? So I go, and there's typically, who do you expect to be at the counter in these stores?
I don't know. I haven't been in one in like forever.
Never been to, you never, well, before
I've
when
been
you
in
used
one
to
in
go to,
forever. Typically, okay, when I used to go to one, I don't know, like a jack
who's,
dude behind the counter
yes, yes. Usually it's a guy that's like pretty big,
that gets high on
uh,
his own supply.
basically. And he says
Works
that it's
there just for
because
the
of,
discounts.
and he says that he says it's because of this stack of multivitamins that he looks so vascular, but he's probably running a shit ton of tests. Anyways,
Yeah.
that's who I expected to see. Is like maybe even a college kid that's like into lifting and naive as I was when I was at that age,
Yep.
and just reading the scripts of everything you're supposed to sell. Like, oh, this has more glutamine in it. This is why it's a fucking $100, and this one's like 50. It's like, what? Glutamine by itself is cheap, you idiot. No, I'm just so it was this lady, dude. It was this little old lady, and I don't know if she was the manager or she was just like getting there some part-time, and like it was just interesting. And the reason why I think it's funny is because it's the where I'm at. That's one. She's like in her late 50s, probably. God, if she's younger, I just totally insulted her. But like, she just looked older, right? And she did like tell me like, oh, you should get this because it has. And I asked her like, why is this protein company $100 for 4 pounds? It was $100, bro. $100 for 4 pounds. When Optimum Nutrition for 5 is like 60 or 60 something bucks or whatever.
Oh,
Dude, $100 for 4 pounds. It was a supplement. Like, why? And she's like, oh, because it has more.
should better have some needles in there.
Bro, it's a syringe. So he's like, pops out a little plastic bag. Oh, by the way, here it is. We're smuggling testosterone. No, so
Please follow the directions after you take your protein shake. Take take one jab every week.
Yeah. But dude is like, and she's like, oh, it's because it has more glutamine. So I was like, what? And okay, I'm like, oh, interesting, thank you. And then I'm cashing out, and then she asked me like, oh, what are you taking before you work out? And I'm like, I just kind of stopped for a second. I'm like, typically an espresso with some cream at my house. But I told her I take some Cafe Bustelo. She started laughing. She started cracking up. And it was just funny because, oh yeah, we got this new line that's like, it's you can tell it's a very like young crowd. It's like, it's the supplement, I think it's called, I don't know, it's like a deer company, but it's like the pre-workout's called Woke AF. My brother bought it. He actually has it here at the house. Woke AF. I thought it was so funny that it was just there. So like, no, she was just telling me like, oh, like you should take this. But the fact that she was even prescribing me things and explaining to what it is, my initial thought was like, this is a hard position to sell. And this is when images and appearances matter, because I don't know when the last time she worked out. Let's be real, dude. Like, I was about to almost pitch my training there, but I was like, I gotta get out of here. I'm running on a time crunch. But I said, no, thank you. I'm good. I think my brother bought that one. Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much. You need anything, shaker cups? I'm like, you need this one because it has this much. I'm like, it's almost like they rehearse what's in the product. So they just said, because how would you know? Lady, do you take any of this? Do you take amp? Do you take ISO Pure? I don't know. Anyways, and I doubt she really cares for the discount of the supplements. Anyways, I just thought it was funny because I get out of there and I just like, I chuckled to myself. I'm like, dude, if I was a young kid, one, I would have been disappointed. And two, I probably would have bought some shit. I would have bought the Woke AF, blueberry flavor or something. I don't know. So,
raspberry,
the raspberry.
Oh God. Yeah. I mean, like it's just a script that they're just saying, hey, if somebody buys this, offer this, or just, the add-on kind of thing. But when you're in those type of positions, you do, appearances do matter for there, right? Because I would listen to someone that's either, if it's someone's big as shit. Okay, well, okay, fine. Okay, you obviously know what you're talking about because you did something to kind of get like that. You didn't wake up one day and be like, oh shit, I'm pretty jacked. I ain't even do nothing. So either someone like that or someone that's very knowledgeable, right? That can break something down. So either one of those two ends of the spectrum is what I would listen to for those kind of situations, even though I would probably just say, nah, I'm good.
There was this guy I did respect a lot. He owned a NutriShop. He owned the company NutriShop here in my city back a couple of years ago. And I became really good friends with him. He always used to hook me up and give me advice. And he was a bodybuilder. He competed. And the guy was very honest. He's like, yeah, I'm running gear. I look this way also because I'm running gear, and obviously these supplements. He had a good product line, and I would go visit often, and we would just chit. I would always take advantage. I was super young. I was like in my early 20s, and I would always ask him questions on what he was doing, what was he taking, and the guy would always help me. But I did, because he was the big guy that I was like aspiring to be jacked, and I was listening to whatever he said. I mean, I was taking a couple stacks of pro hormone at one point, and I mean, I was like, whatever he sold, and I trusted his words. Like, I fucking used SARMs back in the day when it first came out. I did a cycle of that. I almost went blind. Just kidding, it didn't get that bad, but I did see a little blurry after a while, so I don't think it was that good, man. So it could have been a lot of more fucked up shit to my body. That's why I think we're so passionate about the things that we talk about. So anyone that thinks that we're mad or we're resentful or we're attacking companies, just for whatever reason, just know that if we're cracking jokes, it's because we were that person. We did it. We wasted a lot of money. Like I said, we spent a lot of time doing stuff that wasn't that advantageous with our or as effective, and we learn by the trial and error. So that's kind of why.
In any type of passion or hobby that someone may have, whether it be fucking knitting or I don't know,
How to be an alpha male.
How to be an exactly. I know you like that meme, didn't you?
It just reminds me that we did an episode on that.
No, but it's. I mean, it was touching on the topic, but just also,
I know.
It was just.
I know. It
was just. Funny. But you can picture that the whole scenario. Anyways, so whatever hobby or passion that someone may have, right? If someone is trying to put out not the best information, wouldn't you be like, wait a second, hold on, time out. Let's just fix this, or that's not right. So you would want to do that too. So that's kind of like the direction or the place that we're coming from. It has nothing to do with the individual, the company, or anything. Like if someone's trying to peddle some shit, you know what? I understand the game that you're playing. I'm not trying to hate the player. I'm hating the game. I know how it is. So whatever.
Yeah, and I usually choose my battles. I don't waste my energy. I could have been like, no, thank you, ma'am. I think a lot of the supplements are bullshit. I didn't want to do that. It's not her. It's her job. It's what she does. Exactly. So it is what it is. I mean, do what you got to do. No, so I know you're going to listen to it soon. We'll cover more in depth, but I want to kind of to preface the last episode that I heard from Mind Pump. And it was, let me just pull up the thing that I sent you guys. It was titled, it was episode, for anyone that likes to go something interesting and kind of maybe polarizing to stuff that you may or may not be into. It was episode 1660. So imagine they're almost at 2,000 episodes. Jesus Christ. The episode's titled Woke-ism, Equity, and Social Justice with Gad Sadd. I think that's how you say his name. Anyways, I didn't know much about this guy, but I just found it was an interesting episode. They did push it on their social media. They posted something. So I was like, oh, that sounds pretty interesting. I only heard a snippet. So I went and go ahead and check the episode. If you look at the timestamps on their episode there, a lot of interesting topics to get into. And one of them was what I found it interesting, and I want Gabe to listen to because I want his feedback. They do cover a lot of stuff from an evolutionary standpoint. The guy, I forget his titles. He has a couple different majors, but basically falls into the field of evolutionary psychology. And typically the premise is you're studying, the biology and behaviors of how, everything kind of functions. And it gets to the point like how we buy, how we get marketed to, how we mate select, how we choose if we want to date, if women want to date this guy or that guy, what men want to marry this girl, that girl. It's a very interesting topic. Something that I always like is like the behaviors piece of things. And that's why I think the reason I like it is because it allows me to also understand clients. It also understands me how to speak to clients, because the goal is to be very effective and communicate, well, that way you can help the people the best. And I think a big point is understanding the reasons or kind of the framework that we're instinctually built with. I think the term is that the software can be different and can be molded and changed, but the hardware is pretty like there. Like you're kind of set in a way. And the reason why this conversation is even popular is because of the rise of, we're considered progressive and we're considered modernism, which is even like an actual major that has no substantial evidence on anything. It's just kind of this very big gray area where you just kind of make your rules as it goes, and it's my truth, it's my reality. But unfortunately, what I like about going from an Evo standpoint, even though I do have faith, I do have a religious background, I guess you could say. So, but I do take it, stuff that even kind of like hits against my personal belief systems, right? So it's like stuff that challenges me, but I get it. I understand that there's facts, like 1 + 1 = 2. You can't just say it equals 3 and it's 3. It doesn't work like that. What I think that the reason why we're having a lot of this clash with the new modern way of being is that you're erasing all these things, these concepts and principles and scientific stuff to kind of fit this woo-woo world, this clown world of what you think is perceived as reality. And that's what the episode gets into. Like, you can't say to me that I'm telling you the sky is blue and we're both looking at it and you're like, no, it's yellow. It's like, what? Like, no, that is a fact. The sky is blue. Out of the 100 people, everyone's going to say it's blue. Why are you going to say it's yellow? Because you chose to be. Oh, you can't say that it's blue. It's called I don't know, whatever word you want to make up for it. Yeah, it's like it's a light aqua tortoise blue, whatever, and like you give it a
So blue.
So it's blue. So the guy gets into conversation he has with people that study or have different majors, and I have to look more into his content. But it falls into the term, I know it gets coined a lot now, is the red pill space in a way. And red pill, all that means for people that don't know or haven't heard of it is just kind of like that unplugging from the matrix reference, that you're just kind of looking at stuff very like from objective standpoint versus a very like I'm just kind of going with the current type mentality. And that's what they reference in the movie The Matrix, people that are in the system, and then the people that unplug, they see the world for what it is. It's very like fucked up and the machines are taking over, blah blah blah. So he does coin that, and I just chuckled because I'm like, oh, I can't wait for Gabe to listen to this.
It's what I think about that is almost similar to the thoughts that were going through my head is what we just spoke about with the whole supplement thing of like me understanding that someone's just playing a game and knowing, saying what to say in order to get more engagement and get to more follows. So that's kind of like what I see high level with this. I'm not to say that most people don't provide good information. That's not the case, because for me to make a blanket statement like that, that's saying everybody that speaks on this subject is, spitting out bullshit. It makes no damn sense, right? And I would be a hypocrite for saying some shit like that, because I always say, like, what do we say? It depends. It's very, very, very few things that you can put like a blanket statement on that would apply to every single individual. So it's just, I don't know. When I hear that, it's just, like, even when I hear like the title of it, like, wokeism. First off, what the hell is that? I don't understand. I need someone to explain to me as to what the hell does that even mean? Because I feel as if it's a term that had one type of meaning, but now it's been changed into more like I guess like an insult kind of a way, or a derogatory term, in my opinion. This is just how I take it. And again, because I feel a certain kind of way because of my, I guess, environment interactions and the way that I personally think. So again, not to say that I'm totally right, but it's just kind of like where I'm coming from. Even the whole equity thing, like I feel like people just, again, don't misunderstand the whole premise or the whole point of that. Because equity, isn't that mean everyone gets their fair share? Is that correct?
Yes, and
equality means everyone gets, like, equality means everyone gets, I don't know, $20. Equity means, oh, you have $1 million. Let's just give it to the person that has nothing, and now they get 40 instead of their 20.
So
equity, am I saying it the right way?
I want to say yes, but to your term of wokeism, he's talking about all these different topics, because this whole wokeism, this whole woke generation, if you will, like I said, it's unfortunate because there's some stuff that someone will say to you. There was an example he gave. He's like, to this lady that studied her degree she was a graduate in postmodernism. I guess I didn't know that was an actual degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
That that there is no truth. That's literally the premise of the degree. There is no truth. It is what it's. You can basically make up whatever you want whenever you want, and that's like.
Is that true though?
No,
I mean, kind
dude.
Of. No.
Okay,
Hold on.
For example, let me say
going back
to
your thing about the sky being blue. You can make some shit up or whatever, or I can turn to a different point of view and say, oh, look, the sun is setting, so it's kind of like more like orange, so it's not blue. I guess that's what I'm making. Maybe I'm taking it a little bit too literal.
You're you're moving the goalpost. So what he was saying, like just a simple conversation he was having with this woman was like, he asked her, like, would you say that it's true that only women can bear children? And she's like, look at him with disgust. She literally like, how dare you have that simple mind, blah blah blah. And this is the
Well,
type of
yes.
stuff, that's the tough that I'm saying, dude. This is the type of conversations
So
that in that realm, that people, we know that we're living in a time where it's almost offensive to assume that I'm a man. You'd be like, sir, how are you today? If you don't know me, like, how you doing, sir? Or yes, sir, cool. You We live in a time now where technically I can literally be like, no, I identify as an elderly Korean lady, and that's who I am. And address me as such. It's like, what? And there's like physical things and biological things and rules of physics and science that are staple for a reason, because they've been proven over and over and over and over again, and independent variables that are just, they exist on their own as it is. For example, if I just to jump out this freaking window right now, I'm going to go straight to the first floor on the second floor. You can't tell me that I'm going to fly and that's how it is going to be, because
well, you're
I'm
flying for the
whatever.
rest of your life.
Pretty much, right? So it's stuff like that in the conversation that you see more and more. And the thing is that, like, I guess the reason why I like is because look at so much other content outside of the fitness space right now that intrigues me, because it's stuff that's happening in our, the way they talk with politics. It affects how people are purchasing the food, the how people view certain things. And it's crazy how you're seeing, all I see more and more of is this intent of being progressive, but we're almost even going backwards to like a naive state of mind where it's like, dude, like, there's obviously lines for a reason, so we have reference points to things, and whatever is unflattering or uncomfortable, people in that realm or in that set want to kind of change it. I guess if you want to say, like, they want to make it so it's everything is rainbows and butterflies, when the truth of the matter, the truth of the matter is the world doesn't work like that. You go to another place of the planet that's in poverty, they give two shits about what pronoun you're using. They're just trying to figure out what they're gonna eat the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's their level of importance and hierarchy. But we live in a time, dude, it's like literally you get to argue. I can argue with the neighbor because they said, hey sir, how you doing today? And I'll be like, oh, hold on a second. How dare you assume that I'm a sir? It's like, really, dude, like, on the level of problems that we're having and stressors in our life, this is what we're focusing on. But it's like, it's the stuff like that I found it a very interesting conversation, because the guy's
So
like pretty
when you're talking
smart.
about truths, obviously that is a truth that only women can bear children. So I was not taking it in that sense. And when you take it in that sense of like of I guess her response to that question would be taking something like that to an extreme. And we know that it's probably best not to take things to an extreme, because whatever kind of thought or ideal that you would have, there is going to be instances where that would not be the case. And your strict stance on that topic will be challenged, and you will get, I guess, put into a place where I guess she looks stupid by that, because he was making a point to go against her counterpoint. So that's why I said, like, maybe it's taking it too literal, because when I think of there is no truth of, like, how there is, especially like, let's go with social media. Someone can have like 1 million followers. Do they? Are they 1 million actually people following them? That ain't true. To them, that's true, and they're projecting that they have this reach, this following, when that's really not the case. So that was my interpretation of it. And that's why I said, well, I mean, I guess you can put whatever you want out there, right? Like, I can put out there, like, on my bio, whatever, I'm the former NFL trainer, the assistant trainer from whoever, and who's going to really challenge that? Or how is it really, can you disprove this? Or I can kind of like, make some shit. I can make up whatever the hell I want to make up. I can say whatever the hell I want to say. And as long as I project that and say that enough, people would believe it. I guess that's where I'm coming from, where there is no real truth. And
So
to your point of, go ahead.
real quick, to your 1 million followers example,
Yeah,
by
I can buy those.
definition, correct. But by definition, you do have 1 million followers. So that is a fact. It's now are they real people that are
That's
you're
what I meant to say.
interacting and
Yeah.
stuff? But by numbers, that is true. It is a fact. Not to say that I have 50,000 followers when I have 1 million, that it just says it right there. It's true. Now, the whole example about you say that you're an NFL player and stuff like that, obviously, like, someone can discredit you and simply say, like, this guy has never played a professional game in his entire life.
How
He
do you
didn't go
know?
to college. You
How do
can
you know?
find that information.
I
Because you're
mean, like
eventually
you
you're gonna
can
have to
find
tie
out
that.
so much.
Eventually you're gonna have to tie that information.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm saying is that like there, you have to like understand what you're discussing, right? Like if you're talking analytical data and finding stuff, after a while certain things become congruent, right? It's just what it is what it is. Like I said, 1 + 1 = 2. If it says a million, you do technically have a million. Now it doesn't mean you're going to be a millionaire because you have $1 million business. No. It just depends on what we're discussing. And the problem is that like in that community, it starts to, I've seen it and I've discussed with people that the arguments don't even make any sense because there's not
Mhm.
rooted on anything. And the sole purpose of, I guess, even discussing is not even about your personal, like it's not about you as a person, me as a person. It's what are we discussing is the topic at hand. How can we get to an objective reality, regardless if we like it, and that's the problem is that people don't like a lot of the answers or certain things that come to play, and then they're trying to like just move and mold it and turn it into things that are not tangible. So that's what the whole premise of it. When he discusses these things, he's using sources from every different realm and covering all his bases. And that's why I think the guy was like he's like really like has years, 3 decades doing this stuff. And I always find that interesting that like they're even in our way we are as human beings, we can make up a bunch of shit because we have the
Mhm.
capacity to think in certain ways. But the truth is that we're bound to certain physical things that, if we get cut, we bleed. It's not like we have like purple stuff coming out. We all bleed. We all
Yeah.
get it old. We
Yep.
all die. It's like
Yes.
there's certain things that tie us to our physical biology on Earth. So looking at it from that standpoint, you start kind of like looking at certain things and certain principles. And that's why it's even just funny that like in a time that we're so sophisticated, we are arguing about the most silly things.
Oh yeah, no,
Uh,
it is, and it's silly things on both ends of the spectrum because you can kind of in my opinion, the reason why they're so, I guess, the extreme views of that in to how you're describing is just the pendulum swinging in the other direction, because for a while it was just so far one way and now it's going so far the other way. So hopefully we can find some type of medium where we can all be cool and on all these kind of topics, because the whole thing of like someone identifying in some kind of way, okay, well, whatever. What's that mean to you? Does that mean something to you? Is it going to take something away from your day to day? Are you having to reach into your pocket and pull out some kind of like money or something to pay someone for that? No, at all. Okay, you want to identify as a little old Korean lady? It's fine. What's that to me? But what someone should do is they shouldn't jump on you because you ain't know. Now, if I tell you a whole bunch of times, then maybe that type of response would be appropriate. And it depends. Don't if I say to you, hey John, don't refer to me as Gabriel, refer to me as I don't know, Almighty
Gabriella.
Sir, or whatever. You know what I mean? That now being silly about it. So whatever. I mean, to me, when that whole thing, in that whole realm, I don't give a shit.
You know
Don't give a shit.
why? Even though I don't give a shit, right? If someone does it in their whatever they do with their bodies, whatever. It's the problem is that we're living in a time where it's bleeding into our said reality with stuff what's happening with politics, what's happening economically, what's happening with marketing, what's happening with displays on what we're watching. It's bleeding into everything. So this whole I don't give a shit, it's like I don't give a shit, but then it's starting to like become real in our world as like a legit problem. It's a made up problem, but it's
Yeah.
starting to affect legit like real serious situations.
And I
And
think it's
that is
going
the
in that
problem.
direction because there's such a force, or such a people are pushing back so hard against it, when it's like whatever, what's the big deal? And it seems like, I guess, whomever aligns with the whole wokeism kind of thing, like they at some point they were referred to as like snowflakes and everything bothered and offended them. However, now it seems like that whole pendulum kind of like swung in the other direction, and now everything is bothering and offending everyone else on the other side of the spectrum.
Nah, I
Yes.
don't.
Oh hell yeah.
I
So
don't
people over
agree.
here.
I
So
don't
so
agree with that.
oh,
Nope.
1000%.
Nope.
You know why? Because all I see, like for instance, on my feed or anything of any individual that in that kind of like space, bitching and moaning about the silliest fucking shit. Like, for
But
instance,
because you're seeing, I think it's because you see it on that aspect. But the problem, like I said, the only reason that's happening is because it's that type of mentality and that type of just bullshit that gets getting spewed is starting to literally intervene and affect that side of things. It's starting to become the standard.
so
And when
then
we
a
know,
Muppet coming out and saying that they're bisexual or identifying as, like, a dude and a girl, how is that affecting you? How is that being put out there and into other places and into a
well,
place where it can affect you?
I guess it's
I'm just using that
understanding
as an
why.
example.
Yeah, but it's understanding kind of where it's coming from, and you know that, dude. There's no reason to care about ex
A Muppet?
superheroes, yeah, or Muppets sexual orientation. It's irrelevant to the story.
Yes.
It's stuff like that. Like, I don't care if you are or not. It's just that the reason why it's happening on both sides. We live in a very like uh
Polarizing. It's either one end
yeah,
of the spectrum or
polar.
the other.
I would say in a very
I feel that
overall,
way.
it's a very ultra sensitive. Like even Dave Chappelle is getting like problems now at his latest thing, and it's like,
Still haven't
dude,
seen it. I want to
it's
hurry up and see
I know
it.
I know I want to watch it so bad, but that's something I was reading. I'm like, even Dave Chappelle, comedians are getting on cancel culture. It's like stuff like, bro, like anything that people do not agree with, regardless of whatever. That's why I say like it's not the other side, it's everything.
And
We live
that's
in
an
a time where
extreme view.
everything
That's an extreme view, in my opinion.
that is a
And
reality. That is a fact. We
what?
live in a time where everyone is sensitive. We live in a time where
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah. I agree
masses
with that.
is. That's what I'm saying.
But I'm just saying that whole, like, taking that example of Dave Chappelle trying to take him down, I think that's
Mhm.
an extreme of
Oh yeah,
where we
100%.
should be. And that's what I was saying. And you're not going to get anywhere by being extreme in any kind of direction. So I bet you. So that makes no damn sense. Again, going back to, I think, what I mentioned on South Park. There was an episode of South Park where this I don't know if you've seen this one.
I wonder how. I'm surprised they haven't even been canceled yet.
They're
Dude,
immune to it, bulletproof.
yeah, bro,
Dude,
it's
so let me tell you
crazy.
something. So there was this episode where it was like CrossFit Games, but only women. And then this person, who I guess they said that they identified as a woman, and you know what kind of character they used? Someone that looked and sounded just like Macho Man Randy Savage.
Shut the fuck up. No
And
way.
he went in there, and then he was just competing in the women's games, and he ended up winning. And
That's crazy.
it's so hilarious. You need to I forgot, I don't know what season it is, I don't know what
Yeah.
episode, but it's that. And it's just like, that's an example of like, okay, that's okay, but something else isn't. Why didn't you go after
Yeah.
them? Why are you picking and choosing? So when you
Mhm.
pick and choose, that makes your argument almost
Yes.
invalid and not
Yes.
credible, which is why it's hard to make blanket statements and say things, because whenever you get some kind of contradiction, then it puts a hole into your whole argument.
Correct.
So what I'm saying is just that going after Dave Chappelle, going after anyone in general, it's very a comedian, it's very subjective and it's very hard. And I think it's a fine line, because where do you put that line of inciting any type of violence or hate towards a certain type of group? I haven't read it, I haven't seen it, so I can't speak as to how it is. My presumption would be that he put it in a way, and he does a great job of phrasing things in, I guess, a comedic way, where it's saying it in his opinion, but making it funny. And if you change your opinion based on a comedian, well, you got bigger problems.
I agree.
So
I agree with that. I think that it's just, you got to be congruent. You got to be your beliefs and stuff and your opinions on maybe things can't change. That's absolutely.
oh yeah.
It's just understanding that you kind of, I try to stay as congruent as possible, as objective as possible, even when I don't agree with it. It's like, oh dude, I can accept certain things as if it's been proven to be. And when you say blanket statements and generalities, I don't, yeah, it's, you can't say all, but
Mm-hmm.
what I usually
Well,
say
certain
is
things.
I say majority of,
Yeah, yeah.
because you always will have an outlier in any
Mm-hmm.
situation and you're describing. But the thing is that generalities exist because of things that have been a pattern that's been following for a very long time and during large quantities. And that's how you start coming up with general truths. This is no difference in fitness. How we come up with general truths for weight loss and muscle building. It's because there's a large percentage that
Mm-hmm.
the majority will fall into. And that's kind of how I always tell people, look at, information that you're being sold to, stuff that you're listening to, arguments that you're having, or discussions that I think are great because it exercises your belief. And you have to always do your best to disconnect your personal like self-value or worth that you have for yourself, but look at it for what it is. Like, when we talk about stuff, I'm not attacking Gabe as a person. You're not attacking me as a person. You're attacking like what maybe I'm saying and attacking the idea and talking about it. And if people can like step away from like being their truth is being attacked, it's just looking at the from an idea and taking like try to remove as much of that emotion out of the conversation and be as objective as possible. A lot better conversations and healthier conversation discussions would be being had as a whole, versus you start feeling like that projection, you start projecting onto someone your bullshit that has no relevancy or substantial argument. It's like, and if you don't know something, you just simply say, you know what, I don't know much about that. So that when you do,
and it's cool to say that.
Exactly. And then you kind of learn. I'm always asking, like, dude, like, I don't know much about that. Like when someone's telling me about, I don't know, an example, crypto, I don't know much about crypto or stocks. I'm like, you're using these terms. I'm like, oh, cool. And if I hear something else that's contradicting, I'm like, why is that? And then like, is this person wrong or full of shit? Or is this, or oh, this is what they meant. And then you kind of always not look at like, oh, this person's evil because it's against what this guy said. Like, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't have to be.
In the wise words, it was, if I can change and yous can change, then we all can change. You know who said that? No, yous. No, that was Rocky Balboa, Rocky IV.
At
the
yes. End. You can use can change. Adrian. Dude, I think you
we took a sharp left.
We did. And I think that was fun. I can't wait till you actually listen to it. We're not going to try to like,
I will. No, I
will. We promise the listener we won't go too much in depth. And if you guys kind of like these discussions and have your personal opinions, you guys can always shoot us a message on our Instagram pages. If you have anything that you disagree with or you want to rage on Gabe with, you can. His name is at Prime and Glory. Just putting it out there.
Sure, whatever. No, and I honestly, I do like having conversation of this with people on one end of the extreme or the other, because it would help me to understand where they're coming from if they have any type of valid argument, because some people just don't, and they want to just say something just for the sake of saying it, or just repeating some shit without really understanding what they're saying, or someone that's very knowledgeable and then can enlighten me. Oh, my bad, I didn't realize that's what it was, or you schooled me on something, now I know better. So I'm either going to change my stance, which is totally cool, I'm totally fine with saying I said A, but now I think B, or no, I'm going to strengthen my argument in A. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I'm cool with either one of those two.
Absolutely. I think that you should always chase to challenge those ideas. And we never have these conversations to, in general, with anyone, to put your personal thoughts in their brain. Like, you can discuss the thing, and I always kind of leave it open. The thing is that the truth of the matter is this, though. At the end of the day, I always say there's certain things that are or have been true for a very long time when it comes to certain scientific principles that have been. And science is the thing is, like, you're supposed to look at it from a very objective standpoint with no feeling involved, because science is amoral. It doesn't have a compass. That's why it's not.
Isn't it in search for the truth?
It's in search
or help to answer questions.
Correct. And you're supposed to get to, and it's constantly being challenged to see if that what used to be believed to be is disproven, or it changes or something. And you start. Everyone's trying. You're doing your best in all parts of the world. That's why the scientific method as a whole is universal. It doesn't have like, oh, this is the Russian whatever scientific model, and then you have the American scientific model, and then you have the Colombian scientific. It's all basically one universal thing that everyone can participate and kind of come to these objective truths. But I think
on the flip side, real quick, on the flip side of that is one. You can almost find damn near any type of article or experiment or research done to validate damn near any type of point of view. It all goes back to, okay, well, I had a research of 3 weeks long, comparable to yours that was decades long. Which one you think will have a better a much better grasp of the situation. That'd be yours because it's more longer lasting. I could have just gone in the short kind of like view. It's what we took. We've said this before. We've taken like a snapshot of like, for instance, a stock or your lifting career, or oh, I lost only 10 pounds. I didn't lose any weight during this 1 week period. Does that mean that process of what I'm on is the worst? No, because when I take a step back and look at the year long or 2 years long, I actually lost, X amount of weight and gained X amount of muscles. So it's don't put all your eggs into one basket for any one thing. And whatever kind of research it is coming out that you are aligning yourself with, or you're saying, oh, we're using this as your point of view, well, then kind of like, take a deeper dive into that and just say, is it credible? Is it, I think we asked Sal, he gave a good explanation as to what makes a credible research, right? I think he said it has to be like what, double blind and X amount of time and X amount of people and controlled. And if it's not in any of those kind of ways, then is it really putting up, a point in your argument? Maybe, maybe not, but who knows?
Yeah.
I know my truth.
Gabe, you have to go, right?
That is correct. That is correct.
So I think we had a fun time just kind of having some good outside of the fitness, even though this falls on our beginning of the week. It kind of just, puts a new little spin on the start of your week. It's something to think about. If you want to check out the episode, it's 1660 on Mind Pump. Let us know what you guys think. I thought it was a very interesting discussion overall. Covers a vast majority of things outside of this particular, little bit of segues that we had. I think you'll find it quite interesting, and let us know.
Hey, do you know what they call the employee of the month at a crematorium?
Nope.
It's the top earner.
Jesus. With that being said, listeners, if you guys
they get a special parking spot on Ash Wednesday.
If you guys like this type of information or dad jokes, make sure to go ahead and share, subscribe to anyone out there that could be benefiting from this type of content in this show. If you want to follow us on Instagram, we do have at the Next Level Show. My personal account is at John Alva Fitness. Gabe, he's at Prime and Glory, and Mr. Mike is at Mike Nillis PT. Already know. Until the next one.